first I thought you and the others were gods. And then I realized you were just men.
Don't mind me. Just trying to look chivalrous.
The place wasn't meant for you.
And I always felt this place was missing a real villain. Hence my humble contribution.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
All right, Ben, we are live to discuss the second episode of the second season of Westworld. How are you?
I'm good. Have you ever seen anything so full of splendor as this podcast, Ryan?
I mean, I tried pretty hard on this intro, so I am going to say no. Unlike everyone else who just didn't answer Dolores.
Yeah, he just looked disappointed.
Yeah.
She said it the second time. Like, that's not supposed to happen. Oh, fuck.
Oh, man. But how are you? How'd you like this episode?
I love this episode. We get so many answers. We have a lot more questions. We have a direction for where the next few episodes in the season are likely to go. I'm very happy. How about you?
I liked it a lot. It was a lot happening, a lot of different time periods, timelines. I was surprised we didn't see Bernard in this episode at all, right? It was just all Arnold.
Him and Charlotte, or him on the beach, presumably in the loop or whatever. Mm-hmm. Neither of those.
Yeah, I was super surprised. It's always weird because it's like, oh, okay. He's playing Arnold today, but
right.
Normally he's Bernard.
Yeah, but there was a lot to cover. We have all of these separate, there's 3 separate time periods, 30 years in the past, where we have William and Logan and Logan's father, James Delos, introduced, and then we also have the Maeve storyline a little bit, and we also have the William, the Man in Black William in the future with Lauren's storyline, and we have the Dolores storyline. There was just so many things going on.
It was all happening.
Yeah, it would have been too much to also have all of the Bernard storyline stuff going on at once.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's very fair, and it would have been probably a little confusing to some people. To have Arnold and Bernard be key members of different storylines.
I mean, they've done it before.
They've done
the entire purpose of the first season.
Right, they've done it before, but in the sense where it's we were thinking it's the same person.
Right. Yeah.
So it'd be
at least this time it was clear.
Right.
This episode was very clear that was Arnold.
Right. Which I like a lot, and I think I've thought about it, especially after this last episode. I love that Bernard is based entirely on Arnold, so we can have the same actor in these scenes. He's obviously with Anthony Hopkins. He's busy, so he wasn't going to be in this season anyways. Though I do think we got some dialogue from him that was new.
Yeah. And he was they showed his reflection in the mirror, I believe.
Yeah.
Over Arnold and Dolores' shoulder.
Yeah, a
window,
CGI version of him.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I enjoyed
yeah.
having him back for the short time I had him, and I liked...
And the character...
What was that?
The character of Ford, too, lives on just
with
William.
Yeah. Through Gus Fring, of all people.
Yeah, I know. I hope to God that that's not the last that we see of
I know.
I love him. Gus Fring is one of my favorite TV characters of all time. And that'd be so disappointing if we just get him for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I went from super excited to being oh, all right.
Yeah.
I guess that's that. But who knows? Anything can happen. We saw a bunch of hosts get gunned down in this episode and brought back online in 2 seconds. So,
yep.
Truly, anything is possible in Westworld.
Yeah, maybe he joins Dolores' army.
I don't know. Do you think he just doesn't want to fight at all, or do you think it's just because it was the Man in Black and Robert doesn't want him to have any outside help?
It seems like it's Ford manipulating the situation to make sure that William doesn't have things too easy.
Right. So, all right, do you want to get us started on the beat for beat recap?
Yeah, sure. So we start out, I believe we open on the scene in the past, which is in the outside world, kind of. Or we open up on, or what was the opening scene? It was Dolores
in the hotel room.
Talking or referencing the fact that she had like seen the outside world, correct? I'm trying to remember now. Everything moves so fast.
I know that, especially this episode, and then also watching like Infinity War this weekend. Just everything's all out of time, and scenes are changing, and I'm so confused all the time.
Yeah, I think that it opens up though in the past, right? Where like Dolores is with Arnold like in that apartment. And they're like trying to set up this like pitch meeting, which we then see kind of later with Angela.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Okay, just making sure I get everything correct. Everything in the correct order, even though it doesn't really matter as long as we get like the major plot points, because they jump around between the stories anyways. So yeah, what was your first reaction to seeing Dolores and all the other hosts kind of in the outside world, like interacting with people and like trying to woo Logan over and stuff like that?
My first reaction was, okay, so that's what that scene from the trailer's about.
Right.
Because I was like the whole time like trying to think in my own mind, how are they going to have that scene from the trailer where all the hosts stop with Logan just standing there. And I really liked how they did it. I was happy to see Logan again because I like Logan a lot.
Yeah, the Logan is definitely like grown on me, especially in this episode. We see like a lot more dimensions from him, especially in the later scene.
Yes. And he's in The Punisher on Netflix as well. And I like him a lot in that show. So I just like the actor quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
he's a good actor.
I was happy to see him back, and yeah, I just thought it was an interesting kind of choice narratively to be like, here's this really important thing with Bernard that takes up most of the first episode, and we're not even going to touch on it this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they kind of did this in the first season, though, a little bit, where they're like jumping back and forth between the Logan Williams storyline and the like Man in Black storyline in the future, and like a lot of the like Dolores's like it was a lot. Because the way the first season did it made it seem like everything was one timeline. You didn't notice it as much. When things like started jumping around, it felt like more natural, and it was only like in hindsight where you like realized how much they jumped around. Right. But I think it's just because we're aware of that's how the storytelling works. Now it's a lot more apparent, more so than I think that they're not doing it more. But there's also a lot more storylines, I think. Yeah,
once they introduce like the ability to freely jump around through time, they've been doing it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, that's fine with me. I like that storytelling.
It's very Nolan.
Race. Yeah, yeah, it's very Nolan. Yeah. So from the rest of that scene, we have, or that scene ends with Ford telling Arnold that he can't keep playing favorites with Dolores.
Right.
And so that leads to the question, like, why does Arnold play favorites with Dolores?
I mean,
what do you think?
I don't know if there's like a bigger reason other than he just, she was one of the first hosts they made, right?
She is the first host.
Yeah, so I think.
So that could just be.
Yeah, it's like his first child.
Right.
And I think it's pretty well established that he definitely sees Dolores as like a child of his.
And I mean, he even made a comparison to Charlie, from between Charlie and Dolores in this episode.
Yeah.
And we know what happened to Arnold when something happened to Charlie. So.
Yeah, it's not good.
can definitely get behind that, where it's just kind of like you always remember your first.
Yeah, and Dolores seems to be like, I know it's hard to tell at this point, because at this point it's like pretty clear that she's not like, becoming conscious. Like, she runs out of stuff to say and then starts like her own little like loop over in this episode.
Yeah, and
he's not super happy about
you
that.
You can see the like disappointment on Arnold's face when that happens too, where like he's like seeing her as like, I think he's already at this point seeing her as like potentially becoming more conscious and like having like some kind of an emotional like projection onto her. And then when that's kind of broken a little bit with her repeating the line, like you can see the visual like disappointment in his face.
Yeah, no doubt. It's interesting because this whole storyline, I guess, is kind of like a sequel storyline to William and Logan's story from season 1, which is interesting because I certainly didn't expect them to continue the storyline along in this season. I figured, okay, we got the reveal. William's the Man in Black. That's all we needed. Like, we got all the background stuff. But I kind of like the idea that we're going to, like, see more of William kind of taking over Delos and then really becoming influential on Westworld.
Yeah, and then his kind of personal transformation from, like, this, like, innocent, naive guy who, like, falls in love with a robot to, like, this very, like, cynical, like, borderline cruel, just very, like, dead to the world figure that we see with Ed Harris's character.
Right. White hat to black hat.
Right, the white hat to black hat. But this also, all these flashbacks are like kind of surrounding that original season 1 Logan Williams storyline, because this scene and then like the scene where Angela and the other hosts impress Logan happens, in my opinion, before
definitely,
they go to the park
definitely
for the first
before.
time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the reason why Logan's so pumped to like go to the park.
Right, and then they go to the park, and then we get to these couple of scenes afterwards with James Delos.
Right, and presumably Logan was left alone and naked on a horse for long enough for him to pretty much have his will broken and get addicted to drugs.
we can see that he's like broken emotionally, that he like becomes disenfranchised with the idea of the park. You can see that his like relationship with his father is strained enough where William is the one who ends up taking control after James Delos retires.
Yep.
And you can even hear in the scene, I believe, where they come down in the helicopter and all the hosts freeze. James Delos like explicitly says that Logan is a fuck up. So that like tells you exactly what we need to know.
Yeah, and so I guess where do we want to jump around? Do we want to go to the scene with Logan trying to pick out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's like two logical ways to go. It's like you go through all of the scenes in the order they happen in the episode, or you kind of like
let's tackle them by storyline,
individual chunks, right? Yeah.
I think
we can finish out the Logan James Delos Williams storyline and then kind of jump back to the Dolores stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked is that actor the guy who's talking to, is that the Ghost Nation actor? I heard people saying something about that, but
that's who I assumed, but I don't know for 100%.
Yeah.
I assumed that it was.
So maybe, guys, maybe it is. We don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was great. We got Clementine, Angela, and this other character. And Logan's trying to figure out which one of them is a host, and it turns out all of them are hosts.
Right.
Which is amazing. I like Logan's like, he's like, no, what? We're not there yet. For just one of them, and then all of them. And then he's like, man, I'm going to sleep with all of these hosts.
Cut to orgy in Logan's bedroom.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So that shows you where Logan's head is at. Yeah. So that's the end of the Logan is all in Westworld scene, and the next relevant scene from that storyline is the one I mentioned before, where we have William and James Delos like kind of landing in Sweetwater and freezing everybody, and then like arguing about whether the investment is worth it or not.
Right. And a pretty like timely storyline here with all the Cambridge Analytics stuff going on.
Yeah. A lot of comparisons.
All that matters is data.
Yeah.
And James
He's like, you really don't see the business advantage to having a bunch of rich and powerful people come in and just do like a bunch of things when they don't think anyone's watching, but we're actually watching and collecting all of their data. It seems like you're not really a businessman if you don't think that that's valuable.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. Eventually, he does convince James Delos, to agree to fund Westworld, and then Arnold gets to ball now.
Yeah.
There's a straight influx of cash, and Arnold's gonna build a new house.
Yep, he gets new everything. And and Westworld grows to be enormous.
Yeah. Exactly, and then James Delos is dying, I guess.
He's got the sickly cough that everyone in every movie and television show gets right before they die.
Right. He's got the black lung.
The black lung, yeah. Yeah, so then, we get his retirement party, quote unquote.
Yeah, I love that. I really liked that scene.
Oh, yeah. It's like borderline uncomfortable, but like in a really amazing way.
Yeah. So James realizes that this is more, as he calls it, I believe, a coronation.
Yep.
And William's just like, what is it? I didn't even know. That's so weird that you feel that way.
A coronation of me? Yeah. You seem really talking about that. Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. And James is like, whatever, I'm dying. I'm just going to go hang out with my granddaughter and enjoy my last few years, I guess.
Right.
Which is understandable, I guess.
Yeah. We do get, there was an interesting line of dialogue in that conversation, though, that like a lot of people online think that it implied that part of what Delos is trying to accomplish is like some sort of immortality or some kind of like,
he says they're like running out
like
of time
eradicating,
or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, like I don't have the time to wait or something like that. And so there's like theories that either they're like curing all disease or some kind of like San Junipero style like fake heaven with host technology.
Wouldn't be the worst. You could live in one of the parks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Just be there forever.
Yeah.
One thing that we do know from season 1 is part of the reason that Ford starts to come around on the host being the next step in evolution is that, as he says, they've reached the end of their natural evolution because they can cure all disease and do everything. So I guess this is just like right before that.
Yep.
So
and we do know that like Delos has done stuff at least in like the medical field, most likely because there was a scene in season 1 where like a guest came up to William and said that like his organization like saved his sister or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that now.
So
he gets mad.
It's yep. He's like, nah, get away, dude. It's my vacation.
I love it.
I'm not talking to you, punk fans.
Oh man! And so William in present day sees Dolores, which is awkward.
Yeah, right in front of his wife and kid.
Mm-hmm. So if he didn't, who brought this robot here?
There's a million of them. Why Dolores?
Why Dolores?
What happened to what's Clementine? Clementine was very good at the piano.
Yeah, exactly. It's so strange.
Yeah, they just needed that one awkward moment, though.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to see how like Logan's gone from his normal charming self to just like a broken drug using man.
Yeah, just shooting up and like throwing liquor down and talking about the end of time.
For a moment there, he's like, "Oh, you're the pretty girl," and I was like, "Oh God, does he have a brain injury? Like, where's this gonna go?" I was like, "No, he's just really messed up."
Yeah.
And but yeah, he
says that they're in there toasting to the end of the species or something like that. The death of
they're gonna burn down
yeah.
like the species, and they're lighting the match, or they lit the match, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Really good.
So it's pretty heavy stuff, Logan. Oh, yeah. I want to take a chill pill.
He is so high right now. It's fucked up.
Yeah. So, another interesting thing. Apparently, from the scene before with William's wife, apparently that actress is just like she's the same actress that was in the photo from
really?
season 1.
That's great.
And like that, she wasn't like even involved in the show at all until like in between season 1 and 2, and they like tracked her down.
Wow!
Just to use her in the scene.
So many lines.
Yeah.
She may as well have still been a stock photo.
Yeah, that's true. I think. Well, yeah, the daughter got even more. The daughter got at least a line, right? She talked to Dolores.
Anything. It's messed up. But I do think it's cool that they found the stock photo model and let her be in the show.
Right.
So silly and ridiculous, but. Yeah. And then we have
if there was any kind of inconsistency, Reddit would jump all over that. So
and be like, William's wife is a host confirmed.
Yeah.
So we do have a really like uncomfortable scene afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Where I'm like, where's it? When I was watching it, where he's like borderline like threatening Dolores and whatnot, I was just like, where is this taking place? Is this his house? Like, where's his wife right now? His wife just left.
I assumed that it was in the park.
Oh, okay. You think he was in the park? That makes sense.
Maybe you're talking about when he's like in when Dolores. It's William and Dolores is like naked and being interrogated.
Yes.
Kind of.
God, it's uncomfortable.
Or analyzed or whatever.
Yeah. You think that was in the park?
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably the same sort of room.
Being in the park, because if not, I don't know how this scene works.
Yeah, because right after that, he shows him building this supposed weapon, right? And
but
it's
also
in the
like
park.
Day, right?
Yeah,
so
but I mean, the first scene was like inside and underground, possibly.
Yeah,
so.
Right. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. It was like he's just in his house. His wife say, "Hey, come to bed." He's like, "I'm busy. Give me a minute."
No, I figured it was in this. I assumed it was in the same rooms that like Arnold also, had these conversations with Dolores.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you get all this money. You're allowed free reign to just interrogate robots as much as you want,
as long as they're naked.
As long as they're naked, of course.
So that completes the young William storyline. So what do you think about all this information that we got from the early days of Delos and early days of Westworld?
It's interesting. I'm very interested to see, is this going to be a one-off, or are they going to continually have young William in this show?
Yeah, it's also something I'm interested in. I think that there's a lot to be done, like I said earlier, like about the transformation into the like Man in Black, right? Where you can kind of see it starting already, where he's talking about like Dolores as just like basically like a business tool, and previously he'd like fallen in love with her,
right?
So like that's already a pretty stark difference. And like he's already like a pretty shrewd businessman, like totally screwing Logan out of the deal, usurping this company from his father-in-law. So I think there's a lot more to grow there. I think that we heard about like from William talking over the campfire about his wife's presumed suicide.
Yes.
And like his daughter being angry at him. I think that like digging more into the details of that story would be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing all that play out. Okay, so do you want to touch on Maeve's storyline next? Because it's pretty short. I think just one scene, right?
Yeah, well, was there another scene besides the one where she met Dolores?
I don't think so. It's kind of like a crossing of paths, like of the storylines.
Yeah, okay.
Like
I just want to make sure there wasn't another scene.
Sizemore looking ridiculous with his little like farmer boy outfit.
Yeah, that was so great.
I was like, oh my god,
just like standing in the background.
They didn't even give him like a cool outfit.
Yeah, you look like a 8-year-old boy playing dress up for like Cowboys and Indians.
It. Like it was all just like a little too small.
Yep. And they're having like this intense like standoff where they're like drawing guns on each other, and he's just like looks like he's on the verge of tears.
Yeah. That's not
great.
why I get an English degree. Oh man, but yeah, so it's both the two probably most powerful hosts in the park at the moment.
Yep.
And they're crossing paths.
They meet up, and they have very different opinions about how to go about their next steps, right?
Yeah.
You have Dolores, who's like going to try and find this weapon that she knew about from back when William showed her in the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Maeve, who is not interested in revenge and just wants to like find her daughter.
Yeah, she's massacred or led to the massacre of enough people.
Yeah.
Plus, I do think one thing, Maeve actually does have some humans that she doesn't hate. Like, I'm sure Sylvester, she doesn't hate.
Is it like I think that Maeve is more willing to like use humans if I guess Dolores is too, like she has that tech following her around that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But like I think that Maeve is like it cares less about exterminating humanity and taking the world for herself than just like fulfilling her own personal like mission. Right.
So yeah, no one dies. We do get Hector back in his dope, like desperado get up, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Hector's so cool.
Yeah. He doesn't get to shoot anybody though, unfortunately.
No, not this episode. Not like our boy Teddy.
Yep.
Oh man. So let's
want to go back then?
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning of Dolores and Teddy.
The beginning of Dolores and kind of like move through that whole storyline. There's like two major scenes.
Mm-hmm. So we find out why she let that guy live.
I think wasn't he the one that she was torturing for information?
No, I thought it was the guy who when they got ambushed last episode. She let run away. And I presume that she let him live so they could follow.
Yeah, so they could follow him to this place. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah,
so in the first scene when she's talking to Teddy, is there anything super important in that scene?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah.
I think it's just more of the same, right? More of like it's referencing the fact that Dolores has information about the outside world and about Delos and about their plans because she was present when conversations were happening with William and James, and like she was taken to places with Arnold in the past, and she remembers it all now. So she understands things, and we're kind of getting like her explaining that to Teddy, kind of, and then we're also seeing the connections and like having some kind of understanding about how she knows all these things.
Yeah. So then they follow this guy down here. He's like, "Oh my God! Like, don't you guys know the hosts are rebelling?"
Yeah.
There's some noise outside. I think one of them is like, "Is everything okay out there?" He's like, clearly.
Like, no, didn't you just hear this dude?
Yeah.
Like, I know he's like, he's kind of annoying and like, doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but I think that you could probably piece two and two together, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So they all storm in. they shoot the security guard's arm, so he can't shoot them with his gun, and then they just straight murk the guy who they let free earlier.
Yep.
So that's the end of his.
Because he's filled his purpose.
Yeah.
He's filled his purpose.
And they start torturing the security guard to find out what the protocol for host rebelling is. And we learn that there's going to be 800 men and women coming to liberate the island from the hosts. So
yeah, and they're like, oh, that's too many.
Yeah. Teddy's like, I need to give up right now.
Yeah, speaking of Teddy, though, Teddy also gets to kind of get a little woke here, right?
Oh, he's
like
woke.
The first,
he's woke AF.
Like true,
Ben.
Yeah. Like before this, he's just kind of like doing what Dolores tells him to out of like trust and like devotion.
Right.
And now he kind of like has some kind of other motivation from actually understanding what's going on to a certain extent.
No, absolutely. So he gets to see every time he died. So we can presume he was there for at least 45 minutes. Just flipping through pictures.
Thousands and thousands of times, yeah.
And it kind of breaks him mentally a little bit.
Yeah, between that and like seeing all of the like host bodies like lifeless on the ground,
right?
You know, just like drained of blood or whatever. It's I would be, if I was in that situation, I'd probably, you know, I'd probably have trouble like maintaining consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And so he chokes the technician a little bit, and but he doesn't kill him. I thought he was gonna straight up kill him.
Yeah, no, but yes, well, he wants to know why, and you know, it's just a prank, bro.
I know. Oh my god, that's so bad. It was just for fun. Yeah, man. Maybe like think about your words.
I know it's a very, you know, very intense situation you're in, but like maybe don't tell the guy who just like found out that you've been like torturing and killing him thousands of times and bringing him back to life that it was just all for fun.
Right.
That probably wouldn't sit well.
I probably would have gone with the anger like, "Hey man, I don't go. I just fix you guys. I just fix you. All I care about is healing you people."
Mm-hmm. I'm the good guy.
Yeah. If anything, I'm a good person.
Yeah. If I wasn't here, you'd be just dead permanently.
Right, exactly. So he also edits Teddy's consciousness a little bit. I don't think we get to see exactly what he sets him to or anything.
Sets him to full woke.
Full woke, yeah. There's just two settings: it's woke and not woke. Teddy was on not woke. Flipped the switch.
Yep.
And so
now they have their information. They have a plan.
Yeah, and Teddy's like, "We're gonna need an army," and Dolores is like, "I'll have one." And then we see a dead host that she tells the tech to bring back to life, and they bring it to the Federales.
Yeah,
season 1,
Confederados or whatever.
Whatever they are. The Confederacy that decided
the Spanish Mafia.
Yeah. And it was pretty, you know, it was interesting to see a like almost goodness, what is that famous painting called of Christ, the Last Supper?
The Last Supper, yeah.
I was like,
that was the immediate,
yeah. Why are you all eating on the same side of the table?
Well, they ought to make sure they're all looking at the door, right?
So that
when Dolores busts in.
And maybe they're like worried about anyone coming in.
Right.
Oh, none of them were too quick on the draw.
Well, I mean, you know, they didn't think that little sweet little Dolores posed much of a threat.
Yeah, he was pretty sexist. He's talking mad shit like, "Oh, bring the person in charge and all that stuff." And she's like, "No, I'm the one in charge."
Like, and Dolores is like, you know, you support the who is it? You support the guy who you brought back. Who was that? He was their leader, huh?
He's like a general, and
yeah, like you support the general, and the general answers to God, and he's like, "Well, I killed God."
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
So you answer to me now.
Yeah. So they killed them all.
Like, oh boy,
Straight
Jesus.
up murder. Angela and Teddy just gun them down with ease.
Yep.
And then she wakes them back up, which
And
is
he's like, "Oh, you believe me now?"
pretty traumatic. If I do say so myself.
That's so cool though.
Yeah.
The whole, I don't know, like a lot of people like I've seen a lot of people online that are annoyed with Dolores' character. And I just don't get it. Like Dolores is such a badass.
She is. She's taking control. She's got an army now.
Yeah.
It's not good. But it does kind of... Okay, so... in the other storyline, we get a reunion of William and Lawrence.
The Lawrence and William storyline.
Yep. Which I love, because I like Lawrence a lot.
Oh yeah, I saw online somebody compared Lawrence to Braun. I think that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I love them both for like very similar reasons. They're just like sidekick kind of comic relief, very fun, entertaining characters.
Yeah, so we see Lawrence. His face is covered in ants, which is pretty terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
He's hanging upside down, and we get a cool little.
Yep, they're about to eat him from the asshole in.
Oh yeah! Oh god! But luckily, William pulls up. When he's as the Man in Black, should we just refer to him as the Man in Black? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so
I kind of go back and forth depending on.
So the Man in Black pulls up, and he's like, "I don't really have time for this." And he just shoots the three of them immediately, and then we get a call back to season 1, but like it's slower. Just William go motherfuck. Again.
Yep.
And he's like, Lawrence, you usually like get your way out of this situation. Like the park must have changed and might be harder to kill now. And
right,
he's
of
like,
course.
You're right about that. As the guy gets back up. And Lawrence is able to bail the Man in Black out, and he shoots that other host through the neck, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a pretty classic like action sequence where like, you know, one person is like on the verge of just getting like stabbed or shot or something, and then the other person is like in some kind of precarious situation trying to like get them the weapon quick enough.
Yeah.
It's a very, very classic trope.
Yep, I liked it a lot, and so we got the boys are back, Ben.
Yeah, our favorite duo. Name more iconic duo.
Right. I mean, it does make a lot of sense, though. You know, like it's not just like, oh, we like this actor, we're gonna put him back, but like William spent a ton of time with Lawrence.
Yeah.
Like even off screen, in between, like, you know, where there's a bit of a time jump in season 1 before he sends Logan off, and we even see Lawrence die in that timeline, right? And William's pretty sad about it. Like,
well, which one? We see him die in both, I think, right?
Right, but not the one where he drains the blood, but
okay, yeah.
The original, like William and Lawrence, the first time that you hang out, and then Lawrence dies, and William's actually like pretty sad about it.
Yeah.
And so makes sense. They go into a bar. And at this point, the Man in Black's like, oh, fuck that. I'm gonna break shit. I'm not gonna follow any rules.
Yep. Vac.
Yep. He just punches a hole in the wall to get a little med thing.
Yep.
He has an interesting conversation about God with Lawrence. So I was kind of wondering what this is gonna be like. And it turns out he was just like, yeah, so do you believe in God? And Lawrence is like, I haven't really thought about it. And he's like, all right, well, fair enough.
And he's like, I think that like the whole, you know, like if, we're judged for our actions and we go to hell, sounds like a lot of bullshit. And William's like, on the outside world, you would be correct.
Yeah.
But in here. And then he makes a reference to like this idea that Delos might be using this DNA and information to blackmail people, which is pretty interesting.
Very interesting. I can't wait to see how this
Yeah,
unfolds.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I also love how he just straight up talks to the hosts. Like, he's like, yeah, no, you're not real. And they're, like, Teddy in last season, same thing, where they just, like, don't acknowledge it.
Right.
It's like, okay, fast forward, whatever. So they're like, okay, we could go this way, and we'd have to face the Confederale, or we go this way into the, like, really dark part of town that we visited briefly last season. And
Yep.
they're like, well, we have a better chance there. And they get
You
there,
would think.
and it's just like everyone's dead.
Yeah.
No fun.
All of because that was where everyone had the like giant fun orgies, and all those people just trying to have a good time and express their hedonism. They're all dead.
I know.
It's very sad.
It is sad. They're all killed by Gus Fring. Even more sad. Which is especially funny.
Yeah.
One, obviously, everyone likes Giancarlo Esposito. Just a really talented actor from Breaking Bad. I believe he was on Better Call Saul as the same role, and then he was on Revolution as well as Community.
Yeah.
Holla.
And loved him in all three.
Yep. It was probably one of the best parts of Revolution, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
But, so he is playing the character that we actually see Lawrence playing in the first season, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he's El Lazo.
And
It's a little bit of a callback there.
right, and so the Man in Black is like, all right, I'm just gonna convince these guys to come with me. He has a pretty convincing like pitch, but
Yeah.
Robert is like, no,
Seems like a good idea,
yeah,
but doesn't work out.
no.
Ford
Robert
has other
from
plans.
Beyond the Grave is like, no, this isn't happening. And then they all shoot themselves.
Mhm.
And Lawrence is just like, what?
I believe the quote was, "This game was meant for you, William, but you must play it alone."
Yes.
Except,
But
Lawrence
come with
can
you.
come.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I know how close you and Lawrence are, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he's Lawrence is basically worthless, honestly. So, just keep him around for comic relief. I understand.
Right?
It's lonely.
Oh, man. And so Giancarlo Esposito shoots himself too, which is disappointing.
Yeah, very disappointing. I hope he comes back so bad.
Me too. And
yeah.
what else from this episode do we want to touch on?
Well, and then that ends where William clarifies to Lawrence that they're going to find William's biggest mistake, the Man in Black's biggest mistake,
Yeah, so what
which
do
is
you
presumably
think
this weapon.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, no, it's a big mistake. It might lead to the eradication of humans.
Yeah,
It's just a whoopsie, like classic whoopsie-daisy.
it happens.
Yeah. Oh man, so we don't actually get to see what the weapon is, right?
I mean, we see like construction equipment
Mm-hmm.
happening, and like presumably there will be a scene where we see exactly what the weapon is.
The hydrogen bomb.
Hopefully soon.
obviously.
But I mean, we don't really know 100% what it is now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hydrogen bomb, just like in Lost. Faraday's gonna have to come and defuse it. No, I really want. I don't know
Well,
what this could be.
Is the weapon the heart of the island?
Yeah,
the heart of the park?
It's going to be at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe Desmond's in there. Just Williams like.
So, do you have a theory?
No. What could it possibly be?
Yeah.
Like, it's probably a weapon, but not like a conventional weapon.
Right.
It's not going to be a gun. It's not going to be a bomb. It's going to be something that can be used as a weapon, but not actually like what we would think of or see as a weapon.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the greatest weapon of all, knowledge.
It's actually going to be a garage full of Lamborghinis. But no, they're gonna open. It's gonna be like a coffin, and Ty Lopez is gonna be in it.
Wait, how would that be a bad thing though? Or is it like Ty Lopez like a zombie?
Right. Well, he's just gonna interrupt every like interaction. He's like, I didn't tell you about my Lamborghinis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, William started with like $130 in his bank account, and he ended up with the majority shareholder of one of the biggest companies in the world. So.
Yeah. But how many Lamborghinis does he
by following the teachings
of Ty Lopez? He made a host of Ty Lopez and buried it just in case.
Anyone watching who doesn't know who Ty Lopez is, check him out.
Clearly, you weren't on YouTube in 2014 to 15.
Yeah.
When every advertisement was Ty Lopez.
Yeah, he really spent all of the money he had on just advertisement. So
yeah,
didn't work out too well, but the idea was there.
Hey, I hear he has a Bitcoin channel now.
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, what's your theory on what this is going to be? Is it really knowledge or?
Yeah, I think it could be like a data center with all of blackmail data and DNA and all of that. I know that there's
the
like a
800
theory.
people are going to come and be like, "Yo, I will leak all your data right now."
Right.
And
Yep.
like, hey,
it would cause chaos.
yeah, they're like,
right?
hey, man, let's be cool about this. Oh, this can live in the real world. It's fine. There's like what 500 of them. What's the big deal?
Yeah, it could be that. The other thing. Go ahead.
It's like they don't have to eat, so it's not going to drain any resources of ours. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Well, do we know that for sure?
If they don't have to eat, I don't. I think they don't have to. They can get shot and then just brought back to life immediately. Or
yeah, I guess. But
in Hector's case, not be allowed to die.
Don't we know that they at least have to breathe? Isn't that a thing?
It's hard to say because at one point he said that their brains don't need oxygen, but then we see a bunch of them drown.
Yeah.
So
it could just be one of those things where like they don't explicitly need things, but like they're programmed to like respond with like natural reactions based off of like the expectations or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. I will see. I mean, there's a lot of people speculating, like I said before, that there could be some kind of like, fake heaven or like people's consciousnesses being uploaded into hosts, and like Dolores wants a host army.
Right.
Because that's what she's really going for right now. She wants to be able to fight all these, 800 people. So if she can get like a host army of people who have been like trapped cookie style in all of these like host bodies, that'd be something.
So I would add some conflict to if the regular people shoot them or not.
Right. It's like, is a host that like has the consciousness of a human more human than a host that has gained consciousness, or more human than a host that hasn't gained consciousness? It's a lot of like philosophical questions here.
Right. All right. So, what theories do you have this week to bring?
Well, I know
ridiculous ones or ones that you kind of are into.
I know that we talked briefly last week about the Bernard equals Teddy theory, where like the Bernard that we see in the like beach loop is actually Teddy's brain inside of him, trying to work out what happened. And I think that there's also people saying that it could be Bernard equals Dolores, where Dolores goes and like finds this weapon and uses it, maybe ruins a lot of Delos's plans. Maybe Abernathy is like missing, and that's like a lot of the information that Delos needs to complete their like master stroke, and they're trying to like incept Dolores through putting her into Bernard's body. I think that's not infeasible. There's not a ton of evidence to support that. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's tough because a lot of this like shows about like not self-determination, but like individualism. And like Dolores is a real person. Maeve is like a real person.
Right.
And I think if you got people switching bodies, it kind of takes away from it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I could maybe see like, no, because Arnold got his brain completely blown out. Never mind. I was like, oh, maybe Arnold downloaded his consciousness and is one like Teddy or something. I was like, oh wait, no, Dolores just straight up shot him in the head. So
right. Well, the other theory I think could be interesting that I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about is like, what if it's William and William like dies and then they like just implant him into like an extra Bernard body that's been laying around so that they can try and gather information about William cutting off some kind of failsafe to destroy the weapon, and that's what the flood is.
Interesting.
And that's what like the whole like I killed them all thing. I don't know. It's very interesting.
There's a lot of ways this could go.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion. Like everything in the season has been relatively straightforward, except for that Bernard like beach sequence where like it very much feels like something weird is going on. Right. And so I think a lot of the like major, like probably one of the major like plot reveals in the season is going to be like what is going on with these scenes.
Yeah, it's the Bernard and Arnold are the same person, William, and
yeah.
It's going to be that kind of similar reveal.
Right. Maybe not, because a lot of the season 1 reveals were like these two characters are the same, where it's like Bernard is Arnold, or is like the host version of Arnold. You have William is the Man in Black, and you have Dolores is Wyatt. Right. So maybe there's going to be like a theme this season of like the reveals are going to be, this maybe some sort of like information style thing where like this person or character like knows this information that like is totally bonkers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all speculation.
That's why it's fun though.
Yeah, that's why it's part of the reason this show is so fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you have any theories, leave them in the comments below. I mean, I don't have any theories personally. I'm just enjoying the ride at the moment. And I love this show. I can't wait to talk about it more next week.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for episode 3.
Word. All right, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, check out our streams as the week goes on. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
Thanks for watching.